singing. That's not part of what I do. So thank you guys for being here. This is my Virgin Showcase night, and thank you for that. So it makes you think back to when, a few years ago I was a virgin. Okay, a lot of years ago I was a virgin, and I was naive and unprepared and uneducated and didn't know what to expect. So that's not what's happening tonight. I'm rehearsed and I'm ready and I know what's going to happen and it's set, and so in about 10 minutes I'm going to have a big O. Ovation. Not that other one. But now that I've said the big O, I can go ahead and talk about the love of my life. He was a dick. He was just such a dick. I just don't know what to say. He really was a dick. He was a big dick. His parents named him Richard, so he grew up being called Richie, and when he gets to high school, he decides to rebrand himself, and he decides to call himself Dick. And, that was a choice he made. And I don't know if he knew, this was in the late 50s. He's in high school, I'm home playing with dolls. So I don't know if he knew that that word was going to become what it is now, and that he was going to have to live a life of, yes, I'm a dick. But it didn't matter because he was a really good guy. So what I did though, when I was thinking about all this, is I decided to look up synonyms for dick. And there are a lot, so I'm not going to share because you all know them anyway. But what happened, because I had looked up dicks on my computer, is that my algorithm got so confused. And so now I'm constantly getting these pop-ups. How to grow a new dick. How to help your girlfriend name your dick. I mean, things that I don't really need on my computer, so I decide I'm going to straighten this out. I type in how to become a Mormon. And that kind of got in the way because now I'm having those boys with the white button-up shirts with the short sleeves riding bikes, ringing my doorbell all the time, handing me pamphlets and trying to get me to come to Monday meetings. And that's not going to happen, but they keep trying, so that's okay. So back to Dick. When I first met him, he was Mr. Schrudder because he was my boss, and I was his secretary. So that's the way it went. So the office that we worked in, all the men were misters, and all the girls were by first name. So it's Mr. Schrudder and Kay, and that was fine. And we had this woman, old biddy, who was never married. Her name was Stevie, and it was her job to go around and make sure that the secretaries were doing their jobs. So she'd wander in and out of offices and check to be sure that we knew what we were doing and that we were keeping things tidy. And she wanted us to be proper young ladies, and no hanky-panky was what she said, no hanky-panky. So Mr. Schrudder and I flirted outrageously for a good year, and then one night he shows up at my door, and he has 2 six-packs, one in his hand and one right here. So he didn't go home that night. That was okay with me. So 5 days later, he met my family. 15 days later, we were engaged. 6 months later, we got married, and it lasted for 46 years. So when he died, he wanted his ashes spread in a lot of different places. So we spread them in Kona and Kauai, and they're in the Fair Oaks Cemetery, and there's some at McCovey Cove at Oracle Park, and some in my home office. They used to be in my bedroom, but then I started dating this guy that we'll call Tada, for tall, dark, and handsome. once I knew that this was going to get a little spicier, I decided that his ashes needed to relocate. So they're in my office. And sorry, kids, I know you're out there, but that's the truth there. So thank you for being here. I'm not done. That's just thinking my kids were doing it. So anyway, we have these ashes in my office, and I recently added another Richard's ashes to my office. So this is a good friend of ours, and eventually we're going to spread his ashes in Yosemite. But for right now, Rick and Dick are in the office together, and they're side by side, and I go in the office all the time, and I say, hey guys, what's up? What's new? What are you doing? And I talk to them, and they talk to me, and it's really nice to have a Rick and a Dick in my office. I kind of consider them my guardian angels. I want them to look over and make sure that I'm going to be safe. And by that I mean, ever since I was a little girl, I've fallen, tripped, banged into things. I just have a habit of creating a klutzy look about myself. These cords are in the way. So I'm going to tell you just a couple of stories about being klutzy. So the most embarrassing time was when I was on a treadmill, a hunt. I needed to find a treadmill, so I go to Sears and I get on this treadmill and turn it on. And by the way, I'm wearing a sundress and flip-flops, which we used to call thongs, but we had to switch to flip-flops for some reason. Thongs were a perfect name because the strap between your toes and between your cheeks, same discomfort, but now they're flip-flops. So anyway, this treadmill is set to go at 10 miles an hour, and even if I was wearing Adidas, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm hanging on to the handlebars, and all of a sudden my legs are switched out parallel to the floor, and then I crash back to the treadmill, and I manage to turn it off. And I look up, and the sales guy is walking towards me. Are you okay? What's happening over there? It's fine, I'm fine, it's okay. And fortunately, he turns around, so he doesn't get to see the bloody, ripped off toenail and the little bit of pee that's on the left. Yes. So I gather my dignity and I make myself go up that escalator, get home, and I walk in the house, and Dick says, so, are we buying a treadmill? And I said, we don't need a treadmill. Then there was this time when I was principal, as I was referred to, that I silenced a crowd of 4th and 5th graders on the playground. They didn't freeze when the freeze bell rang, and so that's against the law. And so I yelled as loud as I can, freeze! And they did. It was great. Everybody froze. So I'm so proud of myself, and I turned to walk away victoriously, and right into a volleyball pole that I didn't know was there. So I turn around and I say, go ahead and laugh. That had to be funny. And they all busted up, and then they went back and told their parents about this giant goose egg that's on my forehead. And so all week long, the parents are coming in to watch the blue and purple and see how that's going. So that was a fun one. And then there was the time recently, the most recent thing that happened. I'm in New York and I'm wearing my thongs, my shoes, my thongs, and I'm walking along fast, and my toe finds a crack in the sidewalk, and I land on my shoulder and end up in a hospital, and a radiologist was supposed to come and talk to me. So this 12-year-old boy radiologist walks in the room, and he's asking me, are you wearing an underwire bra? And I said, yes, I am. And I'm also wearing a long sleeve pullover short, and there's no way this is going to come off. And so he says, well, it has to. And I said, well, then you're going to have to do it. And so I teach him how to take a bra off without taking your shirt off, right? Some of us know how to do this. So the strap comes down, and then you bring it around this way, and then you do the other strap around, and then I asked him later, don't you think they should have taught you that in medical school? Anyway, that is it for this version of the Virgin. Don't forget to So next up is Emily Hill. And she is a funny woman. She performs in clubs all around Sacramento, so you can watch her wherever you want to go and find her. And the thing she loves the most is making people laugh. So let's keep Emily happy.